Okay, we'd like to call to order tonight's regular meeting of the CUSD 201 Board of Education, March 24th, 2020, and we'll go around the room. We'll have roll call, please.
Mr. Armstrong?
Here.
Mrs. Coyle?
Here.
Mr. Price?
Here.
Mr. Rudy?
Here.
Mrs. Strohmeyer? Ms. Wilson?
Here.
Mrs. Charlton?
Here. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we get to the regular agenda, I just wanted to read something. As we all know, this is a different meeting than what we would normally hold, and so we have some directions here from the gubernatorial orders and such. So at this point in time, we are, the board is delegating to Kevin Carey, our superintendent, the full authority to do what needs to be done on behalf of the district during this COVID-19 crisis, and that the board will be approving a resolution at our next meeting to formally suspend any of our policies that conflict with this emergency discretion. So at the next meeting, we'll have a full motion. Okay. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the February 25th, 2020 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the first closed session of the February 25th, 2020 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the second closed session of the February 25th, 2020 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, public comments.
We received one public comment from Lainey Miller, and she wrote, "Good evening, wondering what the contingency plans for e-learning are if school closure goes past the initial 2 weeks plus a few days as mandated by the state. Will the learning go from enrichment to base to required participation or regular learning? Not sure how to state what students are currently doing online cannot negatively affect their grades, etc." And he talks of making the learning up by extending the calendar to ensure the best outcome for the students. And then she closes with, "Hope everyone is safe and holding up okay." And, typically we don't respond to public comment, but I know this is probably a question from many parents, and a lot of this is driven by the State Board of Education. They're the ones that determine the initial closure is Act of God days. And so I know there are conversations that if this closure does get extended beyond the current August 8th, is the current
April.
April 8th, thank you. Keep doing that. Might be
Aye.
prophetic, I don't know. But April 8th, that there are talks about possibly transitioning to either e-learning days or another designation so that student work then would count towards the grades, and it would shift it. The thing that everybody needs to understand, there are over 800 school districts in the state of Illinois, and they all have different abilities to deliver education remotely to their students. And so they're trying to balance what some districts are able to do versus what some districts cannot do to try to provide as equitable scenario for all the students in the state of Illinois. But we'll definitely be, as soon as we get information, we'll be communicating that to our community. And that's the only public comment we have.
Okay. Then we'll move on to the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Number 1, personnel recommendations. 2, approval of donation from Westmont Junior High PTO. 3, approval of IHSA membership. 4, approval of AP Environmental Science textbook purchase. 5, approval of ombudsman contract. 6, approval of March 2020 expenditure report. And 7, ratification of February 2020 regular payroll.
So moved. Second.
And roll call, please.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Mrs. Coyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton?
Yes. Okay, and then we have one item as a information is the presentation of monthly financial statements.
The February 2020 financial statements are presented. During the month, we received $131,000 from the state, and there are $219,000 of fiscal year 20 payments vouchered but not released to date. In the education and tort funds, revenues are slightly higher than the prior year averages. And again, we received $131,000 from the state this month. $120,000 was for evidence-based funding. And then in the ed fund, there's almost $84,000 of fiscal year 20 payments that have been vouchered but have not been released. In the O&M fund, revenues in these funds are comparable to the prior year. In the transportation fund, revenues fluctuate from year to year based on the timing of state payments. They're slightly higher than the prior 3-year average, and we're still waiting on $135,000 of fiscal year 20 payments that have been vouchered but not paid out yet. As far as expenditures go, in the ed and tort funds, they're comparable to the prior year averages. The O&M fund is 55.27% spent to date, and it was 56.82% spent to date at this time last year. And again, in the transportation fund, expenditures are higher than the prior year averages, but again, the timing of receipt of invoices varies so much from year to year, so it's difficult to look at that as a trend of note. And then our investments are there for you. You will notice, again, that we have the Hackbrush donation is outlined specifically in a separate account on that. And we have $14.8 million invested. Again, you'll continue to see that go down from now through the end of May because we've gotten our tax money. And so it will go back up once we have money. But this is these are our funds that we have to make our payments for the rest of the year. And then the lunch report and the activity report, student activity reports are there for you. The other thing, our next month, our forecast is going to look a little bit different because interest rates have gone to near zero. And then obviously with the COVID-19, we're not doing rentals, so our rental income is going to go down dramatically and things are starting to shift. So we'll have more updates as we get further into the year. Anybody have questions?
I hate to ask, but are there any cost savings because of what's going on? I mean, are we paying less in gas in our buildings? Are we paying less electricity in our buildings? Are we?
Haven't had,
It hasn't
haven't been
cycled
bills
yet.
yet for that. So probably, I mean, we might see a little bit, less, but I don't think, electricity will probably go down because obviously people aren't in
We're not turning on
the
faucets.
rooms and
Right.
stuff.
Okay.
But as far as other things go, not too much because staff's still being paid and
Right.
things like that.
Okay, are you done? Okay. Then we'll move to the action items. Did you want to talk about this one?
Sure, I can talk about it briefly.
Okay, so the item is the approval of the concussion oversight team.
And this is actually required by state statute, and so each school has to have a concussion protocol team in place, and this is to implement policy compliance for return to play, return to learn protocols. And so at Manning Miller, the team will include the principal, nurse, and physician, and then Westmont Junior High and Westmont High School will include the principal, nurse, athletic trainer, and physician.
Okay. So the chair will entertain a motion to approve the concussion oversight team as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Rudy.
Yes.
Ms. Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong.
Yes.
Ms. Coyle.
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes.
Ms. Charlton.
Yes. Okay, the next one is approval of the authority for additional March 2020 expenditures. The chair will entertain a motion to authorize and direct the treasurer to pay any bills received in March 2020 that have been budgeted for the 2020 fiscal year as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong.
Yes.
Mrs. Coyle.
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes.
Mr. Rudy.
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton.
Yes. Okay, the next item is the approval of the resolution adopting the 403B Deferred Compensation Plan Restatement.
All right, so just a quick background. 403B plans were non-qualified in the past, and so in order to have a qualified IRS plan, we have to adopt a plan prototype by March 30th. And if there are any irregularities in our previous plan, this will correct those and make them go back retroactively. So our attorneys, along with our third-party administrator, have gone through the documents quite thoroughly, and so this is just kind of a routine thing to make sure our plans are treated as qualified plans.
Okay, thank you. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the resolution adopting the 403B Deferred Compensation Plan Restatement as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong.
Yes.
Mrs. Coyle.
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes.
Mr. Rudy.
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton.
Yes. And the next item is approval of 2020-2021 staffing plan.
And this is the staffing plan for next school year. There's only a slight reduction in FTE, and that's at the high school because of enrollment. So we need a little bit less teaching FTE. And this will be, once the board approves it, this will be made public tomorrow.
And will it be, where will it be again? Will it be on board docs?
It'll be on board
On
docs,
board
but
docs,
it'll be
okay.
made available.
Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the 2020-2021 staffing plan as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Mrs. Coyle?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Okay, the next item is honorable dismissal and reduction of hours of teachers. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the reduction in hours of teacher Dan Wolf as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Coyle?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson? Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Okay, the next item is honorable dismissal of teachers. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the honorable dismissal of teachers Dennis J. Cox Jr. and Jennifer Gilbert, with the understanding that Dennis Cox Jr. will return as a full-time TA next year. Approve as updated.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Mrs. Coyle?
Yes.
Dismissal of probationary teachers for other than RIF. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the dismissal of first and second year probationary teachers Amanda Bolin, Christy McGovern, and Fabiola Alexander as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Mrs. Coyle?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Okay, we just have one upcoming event. Is the next board meeting is April 14th at 6 p.m. and we hope it's at Village Hall, but stay tuned. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.